Please note that the numbering of the following jet aircraft is not ranked. Taking the first position is the world's first jet fighter, the ME262 from Germany. As early as 1939, Germany's two largest aircraft manufacturers, Messerschmitt and Heinkel, began researching and producing jet-powered fighter aircraft. Messerschmitt focused on developing a twin-jet fighter. However, the BMW 003 jet engine was too weak to be suitable for a jet fighter. The aerodynamic design concepts for the ME262 emerged in early 1941, and the first prototype jet fighter was handcrafted. Initially, this test aircraft was equipped with a propeller engine. In early 1942, two BMW 003 engines were installed on the wings. And the first test flight of the ME262, piloted by Fritz Wendel, almost ended in disaster on March 25, 1942. Both engines failed when the aircraft reached an altitude of 10 meters at the end of the runway. Fortunately, thanks to an auxiliary propeller engine, test pilot Wendel managed to land the ME262 safely. Subsequently, the ME262 had to use the more powerful Junkers Jumo 004 jet engines. Two experimental ME262s were fitted with these engines. And it wasn't until the third model that test pilot Wendel successfully completed the first flight of a jet-powered fighter. Although the jet engines were not yet perfected, the ME262's performance completely outclassed Allied aircraft of the time, such as the Spitfire and the P-51 Mustang. Experienced combat pilots believed one ME262 could replace 5 conventional fighter aircraft. At the end of World War II, Adolf Hitler delayed deploying the world's first jet fighter, the ME262, as he placed too much confidence in anti-aircraft artillery systems, which often proved ineffective. It wasn't until late 1943, when Allied bombers attacked Berlin and Hamburg, that the fifth experimental ME262 was presented to Hitler. However, Hitler failed to recognize the strengths of jet fighters and ordered the ME262 to be converted into a high-speed bomber. A typical poor decision of his. The Luftwaffe's biggest problem in late 1943 was the lack of interceptors to counter the increasingly large Allied bomber formations relentlessly bombing German cities and its defense industries, including those producing fighter aircraft and tanks. Priority was instead given to reinforcing fortifications, increasing anti-aircraft firepower, and launching retaliatory strikes against the UK with V-1 flying bombs and V-2 rockets. Thus, by late 1943, the ME262 was repurposed as a light bomber, while the Heinkel He-177 was turned into a long-range bomber project, which ultimately failed before Germany surrendered to the Allies. It wasn't until November 1944 that Minister of Armaments Albert Speer persuaded Hitler to use the ME262 as an interceptor. In just 5 months, the ME262 completely dominated American and British fighters with its blistering speed. However, Hitler remained skeptical of the ME262's capabilities, which included a speed of 1.000 km per hour proven in combat. And he ordered research to focus on the TA-152 propeller aircraft in late 1945. Only a few dozen TA-152s were deployed in combat, while over 1.000 ME262s proved to be highly effective in battle. Unfortunately, by then, the Luftwaffe was vastly outnumbered by Allied aircraft. This numerical superiority allowed Allied bombers to destroy more than 700 ME262s, most while they were still grounded. By early 1945, the Allies had achieved complete air supremacy, similar to the Type XXI submarines. The ME262 was introduced to the battlefield too late, when Allied bombers had already devastated Berlin, Hamburg, and key Nazi industrial facilities. After World War II, the Messerschmitt ME262, One of Nazi Germany's wonder weapons became a trophy for the US military. Currently, a radar-equipped ME262 jet fighter is on display at a Naval Air Station in Washington State, USA. While it didn't change the course of the war, the ME262 is recognized by history as the world's first jet fighter, paving the way for future generations of jet-powered combat aircraft. Next, in the second position, is the Soviet Union's MiG-9 aircraft, recognizing the advantages of jet engines immediately after World War II. The Soviet Union quickly began developing new jet fighters. This effort culminated in the first flight of the MiG-9 on April 24, 1946. The MiG-9 achieved near-supersonic speeds of approximately 910 km per hour. With a service ceiling of 13.5 kilometers and a range of 800 kilometers. The MiG-9's armament was a combination of one 37mm cannon and two 23mm cannons. The MiG-9 was produced by the Soviet Union between 1946 and 1948 and was later replaced by the more advanced MiG-15 in subsequent years. Drawing from the experience gained during World War II, the MiG-9 was highly regarded by pilots for its reliability. However, during its initial deployment, many pilots were hesitant to fly the MiG-9 due to its unusual design and the lack of skilled technicians to maintain the jet. This issue was resolved when the Soviet Union assigned MiG-9 engineers to Air Force units to improve logistics and maintenance quality. Next, in the third position, is the P-80 Shooting Star from the United States. What can one achieve in 5 months? For students, it might mean finishing a semester. And for workers, it could mean receiving their 5th paycheck. But for a team of aviation engineers, nearly 5 months, or exactly 143 days, was enough to design and build a jet fighter. This is the story of the P-80 Shooting Star, the first jet fighter of the United States Army Air Forces and one of the world's first successful jet-powered combat aircraft. The Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star marked the beginning of the jet age for the U.S. Air Force and inspired similar advancements in air forces around the world. Its design was the work of 28 aerospace engineers led by the legendary Clarence Kelly Johnson. This team operated under the innovative Skunk Works program, which later produced groundbreaking aircraft like the F-104 Starfighter, Lockheed U-2, State Route 71 Blackbird, F-117 Nighthawk, and F-22 Raptor. The first prototype, serial number 44 to 83020, was nicknamed Lulubelle or Green Hornet due to its green paint. It took its maiden flight on January 8, 1944, piloted by test pilot Tony Levier. Remarkably, this prototype was designed in just 143 days, with the project completed 37 days ahead of schedule. Reflecting on this success, Clarence Johnson remarked, "This was a magnificent demonstration. Our aircraft is a success, a complete success, surpassing the temporary advantages the Germans had achieved after years of development." The Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star was the first jet fighter to enter service with the U.S. Army Air Forces. Under its redesignated name, F-80, it saw extensive combat during the Korean War. Additionally, it played a pivotal role in training the next generation of pilots. The T-33 Shooting Star, a trainer aircraft derived from the P-80, became a cornerstone in pilot training programs. This aircraft not only established the United States' dominance in jet-powered aviation but also set the stage for the future of aerial combat and aviation technology globally. Finally, we have the Gloster Meteor from the United Kingdom. While Germany's Messerschmitt ME262 was the first jet-powered aircraft to see combat, the Gloster Meteor holds the distinction of being the first jet aircraft ever tested. It became Britain's first jet-powered fighter aircraft. The Meteor entered service in the final years of World War II but was limited in its deployment to active battlefields. Notably, it never directly confronted any of Germany's jet aircraft being introduced at the same time. Nonetheless, the Meteor proved to be an invaluable addition to the Royal Air Force, RAF, and served with distinction throughout the early years of the Cold War. The design of the Gloster Meteor was spearheaded by engineer George Carter, with development beginning in 1940 when jet turbine technology was still in its infancy. Both Britain and Germany were leading the way in advancing this technology. Though other nations were also exploring the potential of jet-powered fighters by the end of the decade. Gloucester Aircraft Company achieved initial success with its Gloucester E.2839 jet prototype, which paved the way for the Meteor's development under the F.9/40 specification. Meteor's design featured a single-seat configuration with twin jet engines and a high-mounted tailplane. This layout was essential to avoid interference from the engine exhaust streams on the tailplane. The result was an all-metal, straight-winged fighter, with jet engines mounted on each wing. The low-mounted wings were attached to a streamlined fuselage, with the cockpit positioned forward for excellent visibility. In terms of aesthetics, the Meteor's design was sleek and modern, arguably superior in appearance to the German Messerschmitt ME262. Initially, the Meteor was named Thunderbolt, but since that name was already associated with the American P-47 Thunderbolt, it was renamed Meteor. Regarding armament, the Meteor was equipped with 4 20mm Hispano cannons, with 2 mounted on each side of the fuselage. Additionally, it could carry 16 3-inch rockets under the wings. Outside the engine areas, the first Gloucester Meteor FMK.1 entered service on June 1, 1944, with number 616 Squadron RAF, becoming the first RAF unit to operate jet fighters. A total of 14 Meteors were produced, some sources report 12. By July 12, 1944, the squadron officially replaced their piston-engine Supermarine Spitfire Mk7 fighters with Meteors. During World War II, the Meteor was primarily used to counter Germany's V-1 flying bombs. Its high speed made it highly effective in this role, though not always as consistently successful as hoped. In one instance, a Meteor resorted to tipping a V-1 bomb's wing with its own after the aircraft's guns malfunctioned. The Meteor FMK.1 was powered by Rolls-Royce Welland W.2B/23 engines, each producing 1.700 pounds of thrust, with a maximum speed of 410 miles per hour, approximately 660 kilometers per hour, a service ceiling of 34.000 feet, and a climb rate of 2.155 feet per minute, capable of reaching 30.000 feet in 9 minutes. Although the Meteor was not without its challenges, particularly due to the relative inexperience of pilots with jet aircraft and the infancy of jet engine technology, it was a significant stepping stone for future advancements in aviation. Like the Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star from the US and the Mikoyan-Gurevich MiG-9 from the Soviet Union, the Meteor played a vital role in ushering in the jet age. These aircraft have ushered in the jet age for humanity. Which one impresses you the most? Feel free to share your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. For now, goodbye and see you next time.